All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July, a safe 4th of July, and safe travels home for everyone. We're recording this on another balmy Sunday here in Minnesota. Joined today with Coach Joe Berger from Edina. Coach, thanks for joining today.
No problem, Brett. Thanks for having me.
First things first, coaching Wikipedia page. Coach, talk to us where you're from, where you played, and how your coaching career led you to the Hornets.
Grew up or went to high school in Minnetonka. Played under John Hedstrom there. Went to college at University of Minnesota. I'd say I wasted a year at Hamlin, thinking I was a college basketball player. That coaching staff got let go. I basically wanted to catch on there, work hard 4 years and maybe get a GA spot out of that or something like that. Coach Gillis there at the time. That staff left, and I was kind of looking at where to go, and decided instead of paying private school tuition, I'd go to University of Minnesota. Went there, and that led me to volunteering at Holy Family for my first year of coaching. Just kind of trying to decide what I wanted to do after graduation. Didn't know if I wanted to go to law school. Really didn't know what I wanted to do at all. Fell in love with coaching with Matt Tooley. A couple years there. Then John Hedstrom, my high school coach, reached out, brought me over there, and learned a ton from him. That was 2007. And then a coaching stint at Hamlin. Back to Holy Family for a head coaching job for 3 years, and then that led me to Edina, going in my 8th year at Edina now.
So you've been at a private school in Holy Family, and obviously one of the larger public schools in Edina. Talk about the difference between coaching or just being in the education system within a private school versus a school like Edina.
Yeah, private was great. Obviously it's a much different school community. Smaller class sizes and all that. You get to really know your guys when they get to those high school years. Obviously the benefit of Edina is our youth association and getting in and meeting these kids when they're in, 3rd, 4th grade. And now that I've been there, almost 8 years, just recognizing kids from youth camps from 4th grade. And that's definitely the biggest difference between the two. Administrative support, both places have been great. But yeah, I think the benefit at Edina so far, I just love the, youth responsibility and getting to know those kids when they're much younger ages.
You mentioned your short stint at Hamlin. Talk about what you learned, because obviously you coached. You were involved at high school with Holy Family and then Minnetonka, then went to Hamlin for a stint. Then you bounced back to Holy Family. So talk about what you learned at that. Your trip at Hamlin and the college experience that you were able to bring to the high school game.
Yeah, we had a good staff there. It's where I met Chris Hopkins. Obviously he's an East Coast guy. He was, experienced at West Virginia, such a knowledgeable coach that, the X's and O's portion of college basketball it was kind of at a different level. And that year that I was there, just those meetings in that coach's office with Nelson Whitmore, Chris, and just kind of bouncing ideas and stuff off of each other. That was definitely just seeing the game in a different way, of having 2 full-time coaches there that their entire job was just to watch film and watch recruits' films and stuff like that. It's stuff that high school coaches don't really have time to do. And that's what I'd say I took from that experience, is just understanding the importance of how dedicated to film study you had to be. That's what I took from that and brought to the high school level.
So film study, that's a good transition here. So I don't know, I'm not sure if the Lake Conference does film exchange, but I'm sure you're getting a lot of film on your opponents. I mean, everyone's trained, everyone, it is what it is. I'm a proponent that, like, football, we should just have a big, large pool, and you're able to watch anyone's film and not deal with the hassles of reaching out to people. But talk about, obviously it's not college level film watching, but how much film do you watch for an opponent and yourselves? And then what sort of information or what sort of film do you break down for your guys?
Yeah, I mean, I watch a ton of film. Huddle's been great. Thanks to Schnettler at Wayzata last year, it was the first year that we just had a conference share plan. Where instead of having to track down film all these guys, it's just like we all understood we're getting it from elsewhere. We've all seen each other play. Let's just make it easy on everybody else. I'll still get out and scout live, but just nothing's better than just huddle on the iPad and late at night just being able to get a glimpse of who you're playing that week. With our guys, my assistant Brian Youngworth's unbelievable, in just putting highlights together and packages together of just not boring guys with hour and 15-minute film sessions. I mean, we're in and out 25 minutes, clipping stuff together and just seeing opponents' tendencies and stuff like that. We use it with our guys. We teach a lot off of film, whether it's watching practices that we filmed or watching our own games and just, correctable mistakes and stuff like that. But I'd say, twice a week, we're good for 25 minutes to a half hour in the film room before practice. And then, my coaches and I, and especially Youngworth, is grinding over film all week.
So you are in just the hardest conference and hardest section in the state. So how do you keep your guys hungry throughout the season, and how do you just keep them mentally resting? There's no off night with your conference, and you add a St. Michael and a Buffalo to your conference this past year, who are 4 more tough games that you have to face as well. So just talk about what goes into the mental side of the game and some of those soft skills of knowing that you have just a grind of a conference schedule, but then also with your section, I think having 5 teams in the top 10 in the QRF for 4A. Just what goes into that with your guys?
Yeah, I mean, kind of our coaching philosophy when it comes to wins and losses in the regular season. And I think that helps. Before Buffalo and St. Michael, Albertville joins. I mean, I had, 18 non-conference schedule games to put on our schedule. I could have easily given our guys, 20-win season after 20-win season, depending on who we were playing. Going through our section is a gauntlet. We're going to try to play the best teams in the state, in addition to what we have for Lake Conference. And our guys know the ultimate goal at the end of the year is, I don't care if we limp in as a 7 seed, because in our section, the 2-7 game, that's been competitive the last 4 years. We need to rattle off 3 wins in March when it matters, and we just need to be playing our best basketball when it matters. And I want to be able to look our guys in the eye at section semis, section finals, and be like, we've played better teams. We're tested and we're ready to go, rather than just kind of being blindsided by a super talented team in a big game.
You mentioned that you're one of the parts what's nice about being at Edina is you have the youth association and kids now you've seen in 4th grade. They come up and they're now in your program at the high school level. What is your involvement with the youth program in Edina?
It's great. The responsibilities that they allow Jamie Gar-Chapman and I to have, the head girls coach. We're trying to change some things and sort of bridge our programs a little bit better in more creative ways than we have in the past. As of right now, we'll run the youth tryouts. They bring in independent evaluators to place kids on teams and stuff like that. But that's just a great opportunity for us to just get in front of every travel basketball player. We're in on board meetings right now. We're looking to create a director of player development, which is something that the board is in full support of just kind of giving a full stipend coaching position where it's just that person works very closely with me, knows how I want to run things. And it's not, set plays or anything like that. It's just our terminology, our drills, a small pocket of the drills we do. And then that person kind of acts as a liaison between my high school program and goes to, 5 youth practices a week and kind of is a coaching resource for our travel coaches. Because what we found is that, we'll do our annual, coaches clinic and stuff like that. And then I get busy with my season. These coaches are busy every weekend. Then there's no connection of, how we do things or checking up on people and to have the support of the EBA to just, basically pay a coach that is just, not coach of one individual team, but just a program-wide coach to kind of keep things in line is great.
I saw you posted that on Twitter looking for ideas a few days ago about ways that people bridge that gap. Have you heard anything that you're willing to share? I know that maybe not every youth association has the money to bring in a paid coach to bridge that gap. What are some things that people have reached out to you with?
I think the huddle password and just sharing that with everybody, because we do so much, like we said, we just talked about so much with film. To just, we film our practices. We obviously film every single one of our games. And just having a coach's login for our huddle account for all of our travel coaches, just to, look up things every once in a while. And that's just an additional layer that I can add to that, preseason coaches clinic of just, here's my contact information. This is what you guys can, look forward to and see on film if you want to watch any of our practices, and then reach out if you have questions. But yeah, I'd say, just to be more creative with film and that kind of inspired us to to think as a board of just, a video library of drills and stuff like that we do, that coaches can, go in, log in, and when all of us are struggling in January and February to keep things creative, to have a database where our travel coaches can go in and try to find new drills and liven up practice a little bit.
I can just see Bryce Tesdall emailing all of your youth coaches for access to your your
Bryce
huddle account to hack into some of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think Bryce is pretty well versed in what we're doing. So,
with Edina, you mentioned that there's, I had experience for a year, and I was student teaching at Southview Middle School, and I was on with the ninth grade staff there for a year. I know you had some of the guys that I coached when we crossed paths up in Grand Rapids, a handful of years ago now. And there's obviously well known. There's a lot of money, and it's very affluent school district that you're in. So how do you find ways to manage or work with the various stakeholders that are involved, maybe in the youth association and in the 9 through 12 program?
Yeah, the communication's huge there. These parents have a vested interest in their kids. And I remember when I got the job, everyone was just kind of like, oh, Edina, and just the stigma that's attached to that. And now that I've been there, honestly, it's such a benefit. I know that the trade-off is going to be occasionally I'm going to have to communicate a little more with a parent. I set expectations, obviously, pretty clearly in my preseason meeting, my pack meeting with families. But what I get, the benefit I get such coachable kids that are raised the right way that, we can fortunately focus on the basketball stuff. And obviously I'm there as, a resource to get them through tough times, get them through school stuff and anything they need. But they have such a good support system that's the trade-off at Edina. Like, I get well-raised kids, while at the same time, I've got to, I got to talk to parents and very concerned parents now and then. And it's just, as long as you kind of communicate what the expectations are up front, luckily for me, knock on wood, it hasn't been an issue in 8 years. So, set those expectations early and not be the coach that kind of like tuck tails and runs out of the gym when a game is over and stuff like that. Just kind of, go out of your way to talk to parents, go out of your way to talk to your kids off the floor, and you'll be fine.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. I know there's a handful of youth kids, in the Edina Association that'll end up at Benilde. And I know there's a pretty good relationship with, some of the kids who go to Benilde and they're still, closely connected to the Edina Youth Association. So what are some ways that someone who's wanting to bridge the gap between your youth association and the high school program, while also knowing that there's kids that you probably know by 6th or 7th grade that's a Benilde kid who's not going to end up in my program. So what are ways that you kind of balance that off, knowing that you have kids that are, going to go end up going the private school route?
That's where, coaching a Holy Family benefited me, because obviously I had kids there. I was trying to run camps and stuff like that. And you would just run camps and, you have Chaska kids, you have Chanhassen kids, Minnetonka kids. And then there would be kids identified early on in those associations. That kid's going to go to Holy Family. And then all of a sudden you have like an A or a B level kid that is getting placed on a C team in that association because, whatever rumor is, they're not going to help their high school program moving forward. And I remember being a head coach there and just how unfair is that for a kid? You know what I mean? It's just enjoy your 6th grade, 7th grade year. And if you're a kid going to Blake, if you're a kid I know that's going to Benilde, you know what I mean? Just, play and establish relationships with the Edina kids that you've been playing with since 4th grade. And then, I think with Jerry Pettinger at the AD at Benilde, we've made an effort to get each other on the schedule, because I think that's important that, you know what I mean? These kids that have played together since 4th grade, they go different routes in high school for whatever reason, their own personal choice. I just think it's always a fun game to get these guys back together. So, we're not going to question kids. I'm not going to treat a kid differently because I know he's going to go to Edina as opposed to going to Benilde, Blake, St. Thomas Academy. We're developing basketball players. And if they're in our Edina system at an early age, I'm going to develop them regardless. And if they come to Edina and play for me and they're a 2-year starter, great. If they come up against me and we've had a few of them at Benilde and, get hot at the right time and then they're in front of our bench and I know the kid from youth camp and I can, chirp in his ear a little bit and have that type of relationship with the kid that plays for Benilde. I mean, for kids to see that and recognize that, I think it's high school sports and we just try to keep it fun.
That's good stuff. That's awesome. No, that's honorable of you, because I'm sure there's coaches on the other end of it that are like, maybe even unintentional bias towards kids. Like, well, I know that kid's going to this private school, so You don't build that same relationship. So I think that's really impressive that you have that mindset. And I'm sure, like you said, your Holy Family experience plays into that as well. Let's transition now to your 9 through 12 program. Before we get into, your coaching philosophy and offensive stuff that we talked about going deep into here today. You had Chris Hopkins as an assistant coach. Now he's you obviously coached with him at Hamlin,
Yep.
and he's one of your assistants at Edina. Now he's a head coach at St. Agnes. So what are some ways, and you mentioned the film with your current assistant coach, but what are some ways that you empower all of your lower level and assistant coaches to feel part of the varsity team?
I think that's been probably my biggest area of growth. Since Hop left, him and I obviously had a history, an equal say in those meetings where I think other assistants on staff, they go into that and they're just kind of like, Chris and Joe have been together for so long. I don't have as much of a say, where it was just 2 guys in a 4-guy room kind of dominating the conversation. So after Chris left, and he was obviously, his knowledge and everything, very hard to replace. I had to make a concerted effort to just make sure that our assistants, it wasn't just me and Chris and you know what I mean? We all have ideas. We're all interested in basketball. We're all interested in developing our program. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. And, again, establishing that communication up front, but making sure your kids know that this is Youngworth's idea. Like, we have a lot of film sessions and stuff like that. And then we'll tweak something or we'll counter a certain action. And if it's Youngworth's idea, the kids know that. And I think that, I spent 4 years as an assistant and just remembering how that would feel. Like anytime you get credit in front of the team, it's just like, I'm not just here to keep track of timeouts and, player fouls on the bench. I'm here actually, benefiting the program and installing different things and stuff like that. And I think our assistants hear that, and then that's just going to make them want to participate even more and make them work harder. And I just think it's best for everybody when, you're giving your assistants credit. So I've gone out of my way to make sure our kids know exactly what our assistants are responsible for. I've gone out of our way to keep things loose with my assistants and not be, they all have young families and stuff like that. We're not killing each other over film and meetings and sometimes after practice, if we have nothing to meet about, it's like, let's go home. Sometimes if we do, it's, we try to limit the time spent together because we're on the court so much, just using your time wisely and efficiently and respecting that these guys have a life off the court too. But, I've been so blessed with assistants that are just in it for the right reasons. And, I think a lot of our success and a lot of our wins against teams that on paper we may not have had a shot at is due to the work that these guys are doing in film and in meetings with me.
You're only as good as your assistant coaches. I've been lucky to have a good staff. I know it's kind of a lot of the reoccurring themes I've heard on these podcasts is, these coaches who've had a lot of success right behind them is a really good assistant coaching staff that's involved and is motivated to see the program succeed. But let's go into the offense side. I know that's something that you said was a strength of yours. And I've seen a handful of your games with you playing some of our conference teams over the years, and you guys run good stuff on offense. So for those that aren't familiar, talk about just generally what you guys run on offense.
We're dribble drive. That's kind of the foundation of, just a motion team. What we've turned into, and I wouldn't say offense is a strength of mine. I kind of just fell into it by accident. Is learning how to do dribble drive under, John Hedstrom in 07 when we had such a talented team and won the state tournament in 08, where you just line up 3 Division I studs out there. And, running dribble drive is really easy to do when you have guys that talented. And then transitioning from job to job and having a different skill set of players, I've just kind of fallen into creative ways to get the defense moving and to put them at a disadvantage where dribble drive looks will be there. So, I learned at Holy Family, instead of getting frustrated with my guys, watching film and pausing the film and in the film room being like, how's the defense playing this? Having the kid identify it and then wondering why he didn't counter it the way that we've practiced. So instead of getting frustrated, if I recognize it on the sideline, we just started attaching calls to things. I see how a defense is playing. I'll put a call to it, and our guys know what that means. And now we know, I can basically stand in practice, 5-0 breakdown, go through our terms and terminology, and they run it. And it's dribble drive with not a lot of control, I wouldn't say, but not control, not restrictions. It's a more structured dribble drive that we run. And then Hop got there and the two guard stuff. I ran a few two guard sets at Holy Family. Hop got there with his knowledge of the two guard from Beeline and just taking some continuity stuff, not making it continuity just to get the defense moving their feet and stuff like that, running something, one reversal or two reversals through, and then we're just into our motion. So it's worked out for us. I get really, I get smart basketball players that I have the benefit of showing them something on film, whether it's the Celtics running a set, whether it's, you know what I mean? And them just being able to pick up on it and execute it on the floor. So short answer, long answer is dribble drive, but we have a lot of calls and stuff like that incorporated into it.
I do want to talk about these calls here in a second, but I want to just kind of get to the core of your dribble drive. What are some of your main teaching points? So if I'm a coach listening to this who maybe I've always been just a pass screen away motion team, or I've been a continuity team, and I'm like, I've heard a lot of dribble drive stuff, or they've seen dribble drive stuff. What would be some of the main teaching points that you would mention to a coach who is looking to make that switch?
Spacing is huge. Every place I've been, every time we've installed it, we've taped X's on the floor. To get those corners filled, to get your guards 1 through 4, understanding that if they're inside the 3-point line without the basketball, they've got to sprint out. They got to bump a guy. They've got to move. As far as the dribble drive of it, getting kids to buy in that they got to be quick decision makers, and they've got to, if they're attacking, if I'm going to go from a top slot to a wing, and knowing I'm probably going to dribble handoff to this guy, don't dribble at your teammate, dribble at your teammate's defender. And the spacing and stuff like that, that makes such a big difference. So you're not initiating your offense by that volleyball service line. You're actually initiating your offense on the 3-point line and putting the defense in a position where they've got to make more of a decision. So the spacing is key. Giving your kids cues on, where to go downhill, how to get to a drop zone, where to go after they give the ball up, and obviously the small detail of dribbling at your teammate's defender.
Two concepts I want to know how prevalent they are in your offense. First one, off-ball screen, and then second one, pick and roll. How do you incorporate those, or do you just not incorporate them at all?
No, we do. So obviously not a true dribble drive team because we do a ton of screens. Everything we do weak side, instead of weak side interchanges to occupy the help, we set low man on the weak side is always told to set flares. Whether or not that's a look that we're trying to get, we've just found that off the ball screen and it's just given defense on film more to worry about. The communication piece and stuff like that defensively, to have to always account for a guy like a shooter going weak side off a flare is huge. And if our guys with the ball on the left side of the floor just toying around with it a little bit too much, we'll continue to set flares. The low man sets that. We always follow most of our actions with our 5-man coming up and setting a wing ball screen. Obviously we have calls like everybody else does. Just do it real quick. Let's just get a wing ball screen and get into it. But we have reads for our 5-man. Our 5-man knows that if, after any guard to guard, slot to wing pass where that guard is going to screen that wing guy, if he slips it, that's the read for my 5-man to then vacate his spot, come up and follow it with the ball screen. Because if that slip is not open, it's most likely because that X5 is the guy that's in that deep help in the lane. And then I'm going to have an unhedged ball screen on the wing with one of my better guards.
Are your 4 guard spots interchangeable, or do you have, this guy in the slot, this guy corner, this guy corner? Do you number guys off 1 through 4, or go ahead? Sorry.
All interchangeable.
Okay. So you pretty much just go ahead.
Like years past, Anders Nelson, who's having a great career at St. Thomas right now, was our point guard, but we found he was so good catch and shoot, and he's so good off the ball and just creative ways that, I don't want to tell a kid who's, playing behind Walt McGrory all of his career, and now he's finally the point guard in our system. I wasn't going to move him off the point, but I made calls where he would just, you're going to dribble handoff to initiate the set, and then you're coming back and just creative ways of getting our best players off the ball as well with it. But that's about as much structure as we have of just dictating where guys are going to go 1 through 4.
What are some of your calls? Obviously, you're going to have some opponents probably tuning into this. So obviously keep as close to the vest as you want. But what are some of your calls or actions that are kind of the cornerstones of your offense?
Yeah, it's no secret. Our calls are a lot of numbered calls. A 14 is just, we're going to reverse 1 through 4. So traditionally, if you're just on a whiteboard, your one man's, say on the right slot, 4 man's on the left slot trailing. Any pass 1 through 4, that 4-man does a full reversal. We're going to 14 that. And that 14 is that 4-man hits that 2, follows it. He slips it, signifying the 5 to come up instead of ball screen. 12 action is that handoff give and go. We've got an 11 out of that when teams start, like sitting on that give and go. We've got that dribble handoff, and instead of a give and go, that 5-man who's coming to set that trailing ball screen is going to set a flare for the guy who was going give and go. Hard to explain without a whiteboard, but so just different numbered calls where, we'll call it out in practice, and it's gotten to the point, some of our guys that have gotten a lot of varsity experience, it's now finally to the point where I wanted it to get to, where they see what the defense is doing and they just automatically run into these.
That's awesome. I want to talk more about your, dribble handoff, as you mentioned, in your sets and just in the basics of your offense. How do you teach? How much do you really break down dribble handoff? Because when you do a dribble handoff, it's not just I'm just going to dribble over, kind of throw it to the guy and clear out. I mean, like you mentioned you want to attack the defender. You can obviously fake the handoff and turn the corner. So it seems like that's kind of the core of where you start. So how do you break that down in practice?
So yeah, we'll do guard post breakdown. Haven't had a ton of posts numbers wise in our program, but 2-3 guys will be down with Coach Youngworth. I'll have our guards down and we start out real simple and just break it down. It's 4 lines, and basically in our 4 guard spots, we'll run 2-on-0 drills. So we'll stagger it, and like the top slot guy will be partnered with the opposite corner, and we'll just go one side at a time. And I call out the action we want. If it's just drop, loop, dribble, handoff, that's what these guys are told to do. They know. Whether it's a coach standing there or a manager standing there, they're dribbling at the fake defense, and we'll go through that for a couple minutes. Then we'll do 12 action. Then we'll do 14 action. Then we'll do 11 action. Then I'll say I need 3 of something is the terminology I'll use. Just keep it simple. I'll need 3 of something before we look to score. And then that helps too when we're playing against Hopkins and I want to slow my guys down. They'll hear me yell from the sideline during the game, like, give me 3 of something. That means I need an 11, I need a 12, I need a 14, I need 3 14s. I don't care, but I need ball reversals and I need 3 of something before we're getting our head down and trying to get going. So that's our guard breakdown. We start 2-on-0, then we'll go 3-on-0, then we'll go 4-on-0, and basically with me at half court, just kind of scripting what we're doing.
So why coming back to something I have in my notes here, coming back to something you said a few minutes ago, why the flare versus the pin down on the weak side?
We've had really good shooters that know how to read that flare real well. And we've had really good screeners that know how to slip that flare real well. And I think most of our conference, they're used to the pin down action and stuff like that. And I just kind of dangle a carrot in front of my guys to actually do something weak side and make the help work. That's just something that we added in 3 years ago that we've gotten really good looks off of. Whether, Jack Middleton, who's at UMD right now, he was a focal point of our offense his senior year, and everyone knew to try to take him away. And Jacob Hudson slipping that flare screen that he'd set for Jack just made a living off of that. And I don't know, I think it supplies a few more options than just your traditional pin down.
How much do you add during the season? You mentioned you have really coachable, really intelligent student athletes in your program. So how much stuff do you add, and when do you know that they can handle more information and they've mastered what you already have set for them?
We add quite a bit. So our guys know going in, like the foundation of our offense is just, the structured dribble drive, the terminology, all, what to do when they switch dribble handoff, stuff like that. And then, as you know, as a high school coach, I mean, the makeup of your team changes every year. Like last year, we were huge. We didn't have the experienced guard play that I've been lucky enough to have the previous 6 years. But I had a Division I 6'10" kid. I had a Division I O lineman who's you couldn't move the kid, and he's 6'6", 280. So we played a little different. But at the end of the day, it's just our sets break down or our calls break down. We know that we're in our motion. So during the course of the year, we don't get real creative with out of balance stuff until about February. our sets and stuff like that kind of cater to what we do. And then once we kind of go through 7-8 games and see how teams are defending us, add counters and stuff to our sets. But we're constantly throwing stuff at our guys and just, not playing a new way of basketball by any means at the end of the season, but we have a ton of options where we come up with something, or I see something I like on Twitter or something like that, run it, see how people try to take it away, and then add counters to that, so that by March, it's just we have a huge playbook and our guys don't even know it, type of deal.
Switching. How do you teams are switching your handoffs, and they're switching your, if it's a handoff into a ball screen, or if it's if it's a flare screen. Just talk about your philosophy in general against a switching team.
Yeah, we're moving the ball fast. And our guys know it's just like you see the chest of a guy that's not your defender, you're looking to kick that back to where you got it from. So that dribble handoff give and go has been huge for us. Those slip cuts anytime. I mean, we play very aggressive teams defensively that are not going to let you turn the corner, that are not going to let you get to the middle of the floor on them. You know what I mean? Just keeping it same side and using a ton of misdirection and stuff like that, where our guys just kind of know where to go with the ball before they get it. It has been huge for us.
How involved is the 5 in your offense? Do you play through the 5 a lot, or are they more of a screener? Are they more looking for drop-offs in the dunker spot? How involved are they?
Yeah, we've changed it quite a bit. Obviously having Jacob Hudson the last few years has been huge, and just incorporating, we ran everything through him last year. But even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, of just having him flash the high post and just a lot of the chin stuff that you see. I mentioned Jack Middleton before, who was huge for us 2 years ago, but just putting him and Jacob on the same side of the floor, and our point guard would hit Jacob flashing high to the high post, and then just chin options off that, because Jack was so smart, whether he's coming off for a dribble handoff or whether he was going to, cut back door real quick. We incorporate our 5 quite a bit. That's not your traditional dribble drive where he's just kind of, swimming under the basket, block to block. It's not like that. We have him moving quite a bit. We have him setting a ton of ball screens. And then, if we have an advantage, we have so many sets to get our guys the ball where they want it.
We dove into the half court side of things here for probably the last 15 minutes or so. I want to take a step back and hear about your guy. What are you guys looking to do off of a live ball rebound? What does your transition or secondary offense look like?
So we're off and running. This is another thing, and I've charted the last 3 years, and traditionalists will hate it.
I love that phrase, by the way. I love if it's whatever it is in life. If it's cooking, coaching, teaching, whatever, traditionalists will hate that. That's one of my favorite phrases. So I'm all ears right now, man. I'm ready to write this down.
So basically we've identified kind of a funnel. 18 feet out, we exclude the corners. But if you're contesting any jump shot 18 feet out inside that funnel, you're off and running. You're not boxing out the shooter. It's not cool for high school kids to follow their shot. It's not. You're not going to see many of them do it. And, I got this idea watching Open Gym about 4 years ago, and just the easy scoring opportunities created off of that, because we always have a guy running. And then by accident, we found we're defending the 3 better. We're getting guys out there and actually flying at shooters more aggressively, because they know they're either getting a dunk or a layup on the other end. So we're releasing a guy at all times, and it gives the shooter something to think about. Like, he releases the ball, he's like, I got to backpedal and start sprinting right away. And the last 3 years, I looked at it in March. I'm pretty sure, it's something along the lines of we're scoring 2.9 points a game the last 3 years and giving up 0.6. And that's with me applying 3. So if we, on the second chance, somebody gets an O board because we ran out, obviously they get the second chance points that they receive out of that. If they get fouled, I'm giving the opponents 3 points. So charting it that way, it's to our benefit. We're scoring more than 2 points a game than our opponent's doing it that way. So we're off and running. He doesn't get the ball in transition. He's getting to a corner. We're getting spaced. We've always got a 4 or 5 trailing. Basically, it's a foot race to the middle of the lane between our 4 and 5. Whoever gets it first. If it's our 4-man, he gets a full reversal down there, and then he's setting the back screen for our 5 to get into it. That's kind of our secondary.
What I liked about what you just said there was two things. One is it gets that guy space. It gets you right into your offense. So like that guy's already stretching the floor and making the defense guard baseline to baseline. The other piece of that is that just the idea of taking what you see in open gym. Right? I think there's so many coaches, like you said, traditionalists go, oh, this is crap basketball, right? Oh, wait till we get our hands on them in November. It's like you get a
It's how
chance
kids
in the
play.
it's how they play, right? You get to know your kids. You get to see what they're comfortable doing. So as coaches, it's like in teaching, we got to meet kids where they're at. If this kid's really good at leaking out and attacking in transition, why make them become a half-court kid? Let's let them get out and go in transition. I think that's awesome, and that's
Exactly.
great looking at what your guys do and adapting it to your program. Last thing here, offensively, we talked about you watch a lot of film and you have your assistants on stuff, and you're able to have a good solid 20 to 30-minute film session with your guys. When you're scouting another team and you're looking at them defensively, so for your offense, what are some of the big things you're looking to write down?
Yeah, I'm looking to see first of all who they're not going to guard. I think that's become a huge defensive trend in high school. Is just unfortunately not all of us have 5 scoring threats on the floor at all times. I wish we did. We don't. So when I'm watching, whether it's film on them playing us or scouting them live against somebody else or playing anybody else, I'm going to see if there are 5 defenders matched up to 5 offensive guys in a half court. More times than not, a lot of the teams we play, they've got a guy, sometimes even 2, sort of dedicated as an extra helper. So I'm looking to see what that is. I'm looking to see how I'm going to take advantage of that. And then I'm kind of assuming or trying to guess who they're going to do that not guard for our team. And those are little wrinkles that we'll add. I'm obviously going to see how they, with a lot of what we do with dribble handoff stuff and a lot of what we do with ball screens, how they defend those 2 things. And then, their transition D and see if I can get anything easy off of them. See if I can, I watch during free throws. If they're doing anything special to, if I could steal 2-4 points off a simple sideline free throw break that I think everyone's running middle school, if I'm going against a team that doesn't really pay attention, I'm going to add that for that game. So little things like that, anything that's going to get us 2 to 4 points a game.
I know in your league, you probably don't see a lot of this with the teams that you guys play, but what is your philosophy with zone offense?
We're going to exploit the short corner. So we got a guy down there, we don't see it often. But when we do, I mean, we've got a few specials and stuff like that. And then it's just our guards have to move. We'll go 3 out, 2 in, 4 and 5 are occupying the short corner on the high post. They'll X off a ball reversal. And I think the biggest piece for us is just to always get our guards moving. So again, whether it's a simple slam screen from the weak side and just, we enter the ball to the right, that left guard going and setting the screen on the opposite guy, bringing our top guy to the left and then him popping up. Like there's always got to be movement for us. And then on any high post catch, those guards on the wings are sinking to the corner for, that's the wide open area and just finding that open window. So we don't see it a lot. There have been times that teams have gone zone against us and, we'll either have specials to get them out of it or, just a decent job of running our 32 zone offense.
How many set plays you guys have? Zone, man, everything combined. Not baseline, not sideline stuff. Just simply half court, man, or zone offense. How many sets do you have in February?
So set wise, so this isn't obviously including what we talked about earlier on. So none of the counter stuff for motion. So not including our 11, 12, 14 calls. Altogether, probably 35, 40 sets. But a lot of it, like I said, we will have packages. So we'll have an alignment, like a box alignment, UNC, for example. And then we have five plays for UNC. So just, we'll have a cross alignment and we'll have 5 plays for a cross. We'll have, a high 1-4 alignment. We'll have, probably 10 specials out of a high 1-4. So our guys know it's just, it's subsets of different packages and alignments that we'll throw out there. And then when teams start sitting on it, we'll just run it out of different alignments and the same type of action and the screens coming from the same spot. Our guys just set up differently.
That to me, that's nuts. But you mentioned, I don't know if we had 10, but that's crazy.
It's a lot.
I don't know more. Yeah. I want to know more about that. So go ahead. So how do you progress? I'm guessing you probably overlap, you have guys who play more in 1 year. Are you running these at 9th grade, sophomore JV? And then obviously you're evolving those throughout the year. So talk about that process of installing all these, because 35 is a large number, which obviously works for you guys. You've had a lot of success there. And so talk about how what the installation process of that looks like.
Yeah. And I've never wanted to be that coach where you just, we're not telling guys to just like run to a certain spot on the floor. These are all based and calls based on how the defense is going to take things away. So, in these packages, basically sophomore levels running the same stuff that we are, JV's running the same stuff that we are. We got a brand new facility 2 years ago where I can have practices with, sophomore, JV, and varsity all in the same gym. And just breaking things down and like the teaching points to the kids of just, it's a different play call, but basically we're taking what the defense has given us because we've been running this play to death. They're now jumping to the ball in a different way. Now we're going to just come at it from a different direction, and that's just a different play call. So it sounds ridiculous. It sounds, you guys run way too many sets, and it really is all just reads that we're giving names to, and counters and stuff like that, which gives our guys, the happiest I am as a coach is in February, March. I'll call UNC blue, which is I'm thinking he's going to get the ball on the left block if we run it the way it's supposed to be run, but Huddy read his guy and he went the other way, and the guy setting the screen for him read what Huddy's guy was doing, and they broke off the play that I called to counter it. And I think installing it in certain ways early on in the season, it gives kids the knowledge of what we're trying to look for, and they're making reads on their own that way.
No, that's good. I like that you talked about the different packages that you have, and it's not like 35 just rogue plays that all look different, right? And so that kid, yeah. Last thing, I'm gonna throw two things at you. I'm gonna try to mix these up as it's like the 28th or 29th of these that I've done. I'm gonna try to do situations now, and you're the guinea pig here. So at the end, I'm gonna have two situations now. I'm trying to do for every guest moving forward to kind of, as we're getting a little bit closer to the season, get into a little bit more outside of the holistic stuff and get a little bit more specific to some X's and O's related stuff. So situations here, you get a couple simple ones. All right, so you're up 3, you're on defense, 8 seconds left. Up 3, defense, 8 seconds. Are you a foul guy, or do you let them play?
We're a foul guy. I'm a foul guy. Less than 8, I'd say. Anything over 8 is kind of the threshold, though. I just think there's so many things you can do, and if there's more time on the clock of just climbing over somebody's back, if you're in that position and somebody does it to you, putting that official in a position where he's got to make a call. I think 8 seconds though, you're pretty safe. We're going to foul. I've been burnt too many times by guys hitting last second threes to tie it on us. So, yeah, I'm a foul guy and just making sure we're securing that rebound.
And then down 1, you have the ball, full court 20 seconds. So down 1, you have the ball, full court 20 seconds. How quickly are you looking to attack?
We'll attack at 7.
Okay.
So is this like we get a rebound, or is it dead, or are we inbounding with 20 seconds?
Either way, just philosophically, you're down. You just changed possessions, 20 seconds left, you're down 1. When's the latest you want to get a shot?
We're going to see if we can run. If we can't, 20 seconds. And then my point guard is basically, he's taking 8 seconds to get it past half court, getting his guys situated. And if we have a call, great. If he sees something, depending on who my point guard is at the time, if I had Durs or Walt McGrory, Jack Middleton, we're probably going 4 low, and he's attacking at 7.
That's good stuff. Coach, anything else you want to share with the coaching world out there?
No, I appreciate all this, just kind of taking a deep dive and jumping into Twitter. And, everyone's been making the joke during quarantine of their screen time every Sunday when, your iPhone is telling you how much you're on your social networking and stuff like that. Me realizing a couple of weeks ago that, I'm not getting any better just looking at whatever's on Twitter and just kind of jumping in and, talking to coaches and the DMs I've received in the last week and a half and stuff like that. It's fun conversation. So for you to do the podcast and stuff like that and take the time out of your day to, bring in guests and talk to different coaches and an opportunity for us to kind of just share all our ideas. It's a cool thing we have going in Minnesota, and it's good that you're putting all this together. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's been, really informational for me. So I've probably learned more than anyone doing this. So it's a little bit selfish motivations, but I'm glad other people could learn from it as well. I know I've been taking a lot of notes, and I have a sheet or two from every guest. So I appreciate you saying that. So, Coach, best of luck here. As I think teams will start getting more into the gyms here the next few weeks, and some breakdown or inter squad or scrimmage type stuff's going to take come forward. Best of luck with those, and stay safe and have a good rest of your summer, Coach.
You as well, Coach. Appreciate it.